Betty Marie Jennifer was a mother, a sister, an aunt, a friend, and a boss. She was one of the flyest people there were and would do literally anything for those who were close to her. But most of all, she was a wonderful person to be around. Where do I even start? I feel like September definitely for sure was a turning point in this whole situation, in this whole year of my life. I definitely feel like it was something I wasn't expecting. Another thing that happened in September, which really just changed everything, was I finally started dreaming about my mom, and it was just so weird. When it happened, I saw her for the first time, but I couldn't speak. I couldn't talk. It was like I was watching her and me doing something that we have already done in the past. It was so weird. It hurt me so bad to see her and not be able to talk to her, like not be able to fully, see it and actually fully be able to talk to her and let her know and just have a conversation. It for sure hurt. It for sure was difficult. It was for sure in September hard to sleep because it was just so ironic how I kept dreaming of her back to back to back to back. And I just remember waking up, calling my friends, calling my family, calling this person, and like nobody answering. It was just so weird. It was something that I never experienced before. Like my friends always answer the phone anytime I call, whether in class, work, no matter what. And I felt like in that moment, I didn't need anybody to answer. It taught me something. It taught me that I was, in a sense, running away from something. I thought by me going to school, I was like getting a fresh start, which I did and which I was happy to. But at the same time, I was running away from the fact that my mom passed, the fact that I never fully acknowledged it. And I feel like in September, I finally did start to acknowledge that my mom is no longer here. And I definitely never really said anything to anybody. And it was just so weird in September that if people were to ask me, I would kind of hesitate, but I would still like say like my mom's no longer here. They would ask me about my tattoo. At first I was like, oh, like kind of brush over it, but I would actually like tell them like why I have it and what it means or whatever the case may have been. It was different. It was kind of hard, and I also felt like in September, it was just so many thoughts going through my head of regret and doubt and things that I was wishing. Like I feel like because I was seeing my mom in my dreams and I wasn't able to talk, it really was hurting me. It really was playing a factor into my grades, into my life, into my social life, into everything. And it was just so weird because I kept thinking that night when everyone's like, this could be a hit on the whole family. I wish it was. I really did wish it was a hit on the whole family so that I didn't have to suffer through the pain and the hurt that I'm going through right now. Now that I look back on it, now that has been some time past, for sure that was a selfish thought, but at the same time, I am glad that I'm here. I'm glad that I'm able to live and live a happy life. There will always be hurt in my heart. My heart will always be broken no matter what happiness comes into my life. But at the same time, in September, I thought that was just what I wanted. I thought life would have been easier if I wasn't here. I thought life would have just been simpler because I wouldn't have to go through the pain of losing, my mom in such a tragic way, and in the timing and everything. I was just waking up, going to class, not really like I know you're supposed to have a routine and a schedule, but it was just simply just me going through the motions, just like I'm here to be here type of thing. I really didn't care. I was still doing good in school just because school was the only thing that does not stress me out, that did not stress me out. School was something that was just like, this is the outlet. I had a lot of friend drama in October, people that I was cool with in high school, and I honestly feel like it may have been me, it may have been them. I'm really not sure, and I feel like I won't be able to tell until maybe later on, or maybe I will never know. But the friend drama definitely did hurt, but at the same time it didn't hurt because I feel like in October my emotions were already kind of cutting off slowly but surely. So I was just like, it is what it is, and that is still my mentality to this day, but it was a different type of I don't care. Like I really did not care. There's certain times I don't care, but I still care for that person. And there were certain times in October that I really just didn't care. I just did not care what people thought, didn't care how people felt. And I was okay with that, and I still am okay with that, because what I had to realize was this, my life is about me. My life isn't about what other people want or what other people need, because at the end of the day, I suffered a traumatic event. Not saying that anybody else didn't suffer a traumatic event, whoever was close with my mother, but at the same time, I now have to figure out what my new life is. I now have to figure out what the new reality is, on what it feels like and what it is, and how to live with not having a parent and it's just you and your brother. Now, also in October, I started considering transferring. I went to go look at Temple. My mom was an alum of Temple, and my mom's from Philly, my mom's from the city. I originally wanted to go to Temple my senior year. It was one of my top schools. I wouldn't say it was my for real dream school, but it was one of my top schools. It was high on my list. And pretty much I got waitlisted, and at the end of the summer they told me I got accepted, but by then it was just kind of too late. So I went back to go look at Temple to consider it again to transfer. So it definitely was fun. It definitely was, nice to be back in the city, nice to be back to what I was familiar with, nice to be back where my family was, nice to be back to, where your mom went to school. I'm a legacy. Who wouldn't? My uncle went missing. I don't know the exact years, but I was definitely around 5 or 6. So he went missing. It never came out whether he passed or what. There was no funeral, there was no anything, and I never ever dreamed about him. I remember him a little bit. I remember as I gotten older, my family would tell me how they felt like he was there, and there would be certain things that he'd done, like a spirit type of thing. But I never personally experienced it, and it was just so weird, because there was one night that I actually had a dream that my mom and my uncle were in together, and it was just so ironic, and they were just talking to me, and at first I recognized my mother, but I didn't recognize him, and it was just you look familiar, but I don't know who you are. At the time, when I did go back to sleep, and maybe a couple of days later I started dreaming about them again, they kept giving me these numbers, and it was just 222, 3 2s repeatedly, and I was just what? What are you talking about? And I just remember being so confused. I just remember my mom it's okay, you're gonna be okay. And I think to hear that definitely did change. It definitely did change my perspective on everything, and I felt that was calming. It was soothing, that I'm gonna be okay, that my brother and I are gonna be okay. But it was just so ironic how when I got out of the dream, one of my YouTube videos was stuck at 222 for 3 weeks, and I was so confused. That's never really happened. If a video is stuck at a number, it's stuck at a number for 2-3 days, never for 3 weeks, going on 4 weeks. And then I go to class, and the teacher, we were watching a movie, and she's like, okay, remember this time for when we come back, and the time was 2 minutes and 22 seconds, and I'm wow, this is crazy. And then I picked up my phone, and the time was 2 o'clock and 22. It was just so weird. And then I feel the straw for me was when I literally walking down the street going to class, and someone called me, and unknown phone number. I don't answer unknown phone numbers. And the first 2 digits were 222, and the last 2 digits were 222. So I was oh my God, what does this mean? This is so crazy. I've never seen it back to back to back. And that was actually my first time ever having an experience where you have numbers repeating itself. And when I looked it up, it basically was just an angel's with you. An angel is watching over you and just giving comfort. So I felt that was it just made me feel so much better, so much at ease more than anything.